Hello, this is Nathan, Caitlin, and I, Anna, talking about our project for Digital Asia. Um, Thanks for joining us again. If this is the second time, or first time, hi. We're talking about Chaos Head episode 7 to 10, and just the stuff that we think's relevant from that. Yeah, that's it. What are you? What are your
So
thoughts?
there's a few plot twists in these episodes, isn't there? Um, where did you guys want to start?
Um, I thought the a good starting point would be that Divine Church and how that kind of fits in with the plot, because you've got
Yeah.
that, and then you've got the biotech company. So maybe that could be a good starting point.
Mm.
I know, because I was a bit confused, like how those two elements like work together within the overall plot.
Hmm. Yeah, you got spirituality and technology um, kind of synchronizing as one thing.
They're sort of synchronizing, but they're also sort of fighting because they're like the two opposite sides that are sort of fighting, but on like I guess they sort of synchronize in what they're fighting over.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's like
Do you know what they're fighting over?
there's the technology. Um, I guess they're sort of fighting over reality and the world.
Yeah.
Um, because the technology companies sort of trying to use that to like change people's perceptions of things to like sell more things or I don't know get different people in power like use it as sort of a like evil political commercial thing
Mm.
um, and the other people are fighting against that. I think that's
So
how it works.
that's all they're fighting against. They're just but yeah, what do they want, do you think? The Divine Church? Anything?
I don't know. What do you think, Caitlin?
Who's good and who's evil? Like, are they both wanting the same thing? Like, what are their goals? I haven't sort of figured that out.
Yeah. Um, they seem like a cult, like they're crazy. But I could
Mm.
just be being stereotypical of I'm not religious, so um, yeah, I don't know. Any kind of serious religious stuff, I get a little bit freaked out about. But
Fair enough.
yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. It seems like it's getting more and more kind of philosophical with where you start realizing at what point you exist. Like
Mm.
he's has to trust other people to justify his existence. That's
That's an
I think
interesting
that's
point.
yeah, that builds off like his character and why he exists. Like, um, because that's like we've been talking about him as like a main character for like every like pretty much every time, um, and then it's only in episode sort of 10 that you figure out what he is or why he exists.
Mm.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
because she goes, which I can't remember which character, but she goes, oh yeah, you've only been alive for a year. Like that was pretty weird.
Yeah, yeah. When he goes and tries to go home, but his home isn't there.
Mm.
Um, and
yeah.
Remy actually sort of tells him the truth about what's been going on. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, he's got um, So like you spend like the first more than half, like most of the series thinking that he's like, oh, just got like issues, but then it sort of works out that like he only exists as a delusion of someone else. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah. I read the comments below on episode 10, I think it was. Yeah, and someone said, yeah, he's a projection from Shogun.
Yeah.
See, I thought he was a test tube baby, but apparently not.
I don't know. I still don't know that. It's just it is making more and more sense now, though. If I keep thinking that.
Because that's what they have. She has that conversation with him at like the beginning of of episode 10, and he's like, "Who's making a delusion out of me?" And then she says that it's like him. It's like you're a delusion of yourself.
Yeah.
But you also see Shogun going into the hospital room, and it's got like Nishishu Takami, or whatever how you pronounce it, on the sign. And so like Shogun is him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense really. Like they try and make it make sense, but then it just you just have to accept it.
I don't know. I'm seeing like how it. Yeah, I still think they're just using like big philosophical examples of life and stuff to so it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but it also makes heaps of sense. You know, like at the same time, it relates too well to like, you know, split personalities. How do I know who I am? Do I only know it by memories of whatever? Are those memories even real? You kind of like, yeah, it's scary. Just because
it sort of starts questioning, like you start questioning your own existence.
Well, I don't, but that guy does, and I can understand why.
That guy does.
You know, the main guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. They've sort of put him in a position, like created him as a character that has, like, obviously has all these implanted memories, and so he's only really been around for a year. But then when you start thinking about your own memories, it's like, well, that's all they are. They're only memories. And if they're not, like, backed up by other people, then, like, how are you supposed to prove that? Like, if you have, like, shared memories with other people, it, like, makes it more real, if that makes sense. So if you go and have, like, a shared experience with someone, it's, like, twice as real because there's two people to, like, confirm that that happened.
Man, that would suck.
And so, yeah. So, like, yeah, so obviously he's really confused.
Yeah, just on that point, he's kind of like how he's dependent on other people to like justify his kind of like literal existence. I guess a good example of that is when they're like fighting the evil guy and with the other girls, Rumi and the other girls. I don't think Rumi was there, but anyway, and he's going, oh, like save me. So he's like dependent on them to kind of protect him from, you know, everything around him and like the evil people. So yeah, I guess that's an example of how he's kind of dependent on other people.
Yeah, like a delusion would be, I guess.
Yeah, he's not really capable of doing things himself. Although Rumi sort of brought up this idea that that through his own delusions, like, because, you know, like he has delusions as well, but through them he like somehow damages the person who's like imagining him.
Mm.
Cause she like warns him, don't have any more delusions, like they're really bad. Which is sort of like in contrast to him being like, oh, delusions are good because like he knows what's going on in delusions, because like he sort of felt like he was in control of them sometimes.
This is nuts. Just a delusion that has free thought is quite, confronting. Yeah. That, like, when they were fighting the bad guy and he found the blind spots or something to help out one of the girls, like, that finding the blind spot thing of manipulating reality, yeah, that was just something that seemed, like corporation type thing of invading when people are at their weakest or not conscious of what they're doing, and then taking that and making them invest their time and money and stuff. It's like,
yeah, so like subliminal advertising.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It takes surveillance to a whole new level.
It's not just surveillance, but then like using what you know about people to then change them and affect them. Because you saw that in when Senna was sort of going to attack Taku for having the little equation. There's she like gets put into like a weird delusion.
Yeah.
Where she. So that's like obviously like one of the girls knows that about her and then uses that to affect her. So it's like they're using what they know about each other to like manipulate their thoughts.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you think you remember how the bad guy referred to them as monsters? Do you think like so he's a particularly strange monster or something? He said something like that. Like he said he's different. But are they like the Giglomaniacs or something? Those girls, are they delusions as well, or do you, like they're real people? They just have this special ability to see stuff. Do you think? I don't know.
I think they're supposed to be real people, but it's tricky to tell, because what's her name? The chick that goes to the detectives has that sort of freak out at the end of episode 10 when her sister comes back, but it's not her sister. It's like that some guy pretending to be, but like they go through like this big like who is she as well.
Yeah.
Like, and she has a bit of an identity crisis there.
Yeah. She admits herself that it's kind of a delusion. Like, it's part of her conscience because she feels guilty about what happened to her sister.
And she'd studied split personalities disorders. Like, she'd studied that, so it was in her head, so she could create it.
Yeah, so it's like she studied it, and then so she knew like all the symptoms and things, so that she could like create this delusion of her having a split personality.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So like it's getting more and more complicated and stuff, and that's like kind of what's hooking us in with this TV show, where like just all the intricacies and it's just going all over the shop, and it's getting more better and better. But like, is there anything do you think we're seeing that is particularly Asian about it, or anything like that, or is it just because it's really, really intelligent that we love it? I don't know.
I think I love it because it's really intelligent. Like it's just like it's really well written. It's got like all the characters have some interesting stories, and it's just um, it doesn't reveal too much too quickly. Like it like gives you a lot of time to think about everything. I don't think that's something that's like distinct about it being an anime or it being from Japan. But mm. I definitely think the concept of it being sort of that spiritual versus corporation is sort of something that would come out of Japanese culture though. Is like traditionally they've had a very sort of spiritual sort of culture, like we can go ghosts and ideas of um, like more traditional Japanese culture has been a bit more like obviously a bit more focused on spirituality, whereas contemporary Japanese culture has moved towards like corporations and technology. So I guess it's like I don't know whether it's like purposefully like a comment on that, or whether that's just like happens to be in the minds of the people making it.
No.
But that sort of seems to be a link.
Yeah. It's the spirituality side is really, it's like light and dark. They actually use that symbolism of light and dark, like so binary, so one or the other. That's a weird, I don't know, I hate that, like, just seems way too simplistic for a spiritual option. I don't know. But
I don't know, I think also the sort of cinematic techniques or whatever, or like the plot development is kind of a bit Asian in the sense that I think me and Anna were talking about the other day about how like Japanese horror, for instance, and like Japanese crime cinema, it tends to kind of build and like gradually build over, the 2 hours or whatever, however long it is. So like that gradual sort of build up to the climax is kind of, I guess, could be seen as being inherently sort of Japanese or Asian. Like I found that is quite common, that sort of technique of gradually, introducing new characters and not giving too much away.
Yeah, it definitely has a slow build up, and then sort of the last few episodes just sort of like pour you into the deep end, I guess, with all of like with all the twists and then like revealing backstory of lots of people. And it seems to be a sort of like an entirely different story to the first episode where you think it was just like this guy that had schizophrenia. Which I guess is sort of I actually ended up watching Audition the other day. And that had a really slow build up. Like I watched the first half of it, and then had to go do something else, and then I came back to watch the second half. But like after watching the first half, I was like, there's nothing really that creepy about this. Like that chick's a little creepy, but I don't know what's going. Like it's not that weird. And then towards the end of the movie, it's just like that last little bit of the movie. You're like, all right, not really sure how to take any of that.
Yeah. Were you scared?
I was like, I'm not sure if I was scared. I was definitely disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, disturbed is a good word.
Yeah. It's an MF. It's a mindfuck. Yeah.
It definitely messes with your mind, and then it's just disturbing to watch.
Yeah. You should see it too, Caitlin. Like, just for the editing in this thing, it's like, that's what does it, because it replays a lot of the events from the first half of when it's normal, but then when the second half when it starts getting a bit crazy, it's the editing, the way that they splice in things from the previous thing when it was normal and just make it slightly peculiar, and you're just like, what? That was normal before. now it's not.
Yeah, you're like that. I've already seen this conversation, but now they've brought up all this other stuff. I was like, did that happen before, or
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
they just like leave it out, or yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that sort of like slow build up to like some ridiculous like sort of um, climax twisting sort of trope, I guess. It'd be
Mm.
interesting to see
Yeah.
if that's more common in other things as well.
What did you say, that last bit?
It'd be interesting to see if that's more common in
Oh,
like
before that.
like the slow, the idea that it like slowly builds up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that's like if you guys find that in anything else that you're watching.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I have seen that thing happen in a TV series called Twin Peaks. Have you guys seen that?
No, I've
I've heard
of
of
it.
it.
It's like the same thing where it's kind of playing with reality, like Chaos Head is. How, like, I guess they're kind of commenting on like how you can create reality with a TV show, and it's like at the same time saying, if you can create reality with a TV show, what is it about reality that's outside of a TV show that makes it real?
Mm.
That's, yeah, Twin Peaks does that all the time, and I think Chaos Head is kind of doing that. Like, just, yeah, how do we build reality? Pulling that apart.
On like a completely different track though, like with the, I guess, Chaos Head and like the horror kind of scary factor. I don't think it's like in your face horror. It's kind of more just the producers have really effectively created like this sort of sad, sinister kind of feel. Like it's just really sad. Like you feel really sorry for the protagonist. And then, so I was talking to Anna about this the other day about a Japanese horror movie called, crime movie called Cure, which has aspects of horror in it. And I was saying how, like, with Cure, it's very kind of sad and kind of not really, like, scary, but still quite sinister, but it's just really depressing. Like, the producer really creates this kind of depressing atmosphere. And I kind of think Chaos Head is very similar to that. Like, it has that kind of really sad, depressing sort of feel to it.
I really like the idea that it's sinister. Like, that's like creates like a whole feel around it. That's like that brings in so many other emotions.
Yeah. So like it's slowly trying to, it's got a really malicious intent, would you say?
Yeah. When it's like methodical and it's like in how it does it.
I don't know if I like that. It's a bit uncomfortable to think about. But
I think that's how lots of movies that like need to like that they try and make you frightened or like try and like, create that feel. They have to be sort of methodical and stuff like that's really the feel that they're trying to get across.
Yeah. That's something I think I don't know, but this is just the way I feel that I have taken away from watching just Asian stuff with you guys over the course of these hangouts, like especially with the first video game, how it started off, like they were planning stuff out. Specifically, like when you go to this certain area, it's going to scare the shit out of you or you're just going to be confused and then you're going to be hooked more and more and you never know when you're going to get scared the shit out of, but they do. So I would say that's kind of an Asian, I don't know, just in my experience, it feels like that's been a quality of Asian stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's quite common in a lot of, I guess, Asian kind of productions, that it's very, that slow build up and it's, again, that sinister kind of element that comes into it. And I think that's kind of common also in a lot of genres, like not just horror, but crime as well. With what I've seen for my individual project, it's definitely it's definitely apparent that kind of the gradual build up and what you were saying, Anna. It's it's a good point to sort of raise.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of like, because like I've watched a lot of like Asian horror films, so I'm just trying to think if that is a particularly Asian sort of theme. I'm trying to think through a whole bunch of Western films I've seen to see if any of them fit that same structure, that same sort of like slow, sinister build up to that like ridiculous finish. And I guess the only one that I can really think of is like Paranormal Activity, even though it's like, because they have that sort of slow, or at least the first one had sort of a slow build up with only like little tiny things happening, just like a ridiculous thing, and sort of tried to create a sort of sinister feel.
Was it? Could you see that it was intelligent though? Like, you know, like really well thought out about how humans act and stuff, or was it just kind of simple? Like, we'll put a shock here, put a shock there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I don't think it was as well thought out, but it's still sort of that like slower build up, but it's not quite as it doesn't hit you on quite as many levels. It's more of a just like, oh, I'm slightly scared, and then you end at the end, you're like, I'm really scared now, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, there's not as many that sort of fit that sort of slower build up to to create that sinister feel. Lots of them sort of stick scary scenes throughout. Like they start off and give you some of the backstory, and then give you a scary scene for like a little bit into the movie, and then they sort of explore that, and then there's another scary bit, and it's like they sort of put it through all these sort of peaks of rather than sort of a slow build up to being horrified.
Yeah. It's really hard to figure out exactly what they're doing. I don't know, but you can tell that they're different. You know what I mean? But to analyze and determine exactly what's going on would take a lot of time, I think.
I don't know. I think when you're talking about American kind of productions and whether or not they have that kind of structure to it, I think of The Village as kind of a little bit like that. There is a lot of mystery to it, and you've got to try and figure out what's going on. And then of course they reveal at the end the whole, the answers to everything. But yeah, that's kind of reminds me a little bit that kind of slow build up. And it's kind of structured in a way to kind of scare you at specific points in the movie. So it's all intentioned to kind of make you feel a certain way.
Well, is it The Village is American, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just looking up now. I think the guy might be of an Asian background. The director / writer, I think he might be possibly Asian. I'll have to do some more research on that, but yeah, that was something that reminded me.
Yeah, that's sort of a similar sort of interesting thing to look at.
You still with us, Nathan? You look like you're getting a...
Yeah. No, I'm just I'm zoning out a little, sorry.
That's cool.
Okay.
Should we probably say for the hangout, in case anyone's wondering, Nathan is under the weather. Just not feeling well.
No, I'm not feeling great.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it anyway.
Oh, that's all right. I've got to duck off and head to work. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think.
Are you guys free before? Oh, actually, because we don't have class on Thursday. Did you guys want to do a hangout on Thursday?
Yeah.
To continue talking about Chaos Head, because there's so much more to talk about.
Okay.
And we may as well try and finish it off before then.
Okay. Should we just? Oh, hang on. Can I just click offline? I mean, off air, and it'll cut it here.
But if
But we can keep talking.
yeah, if I go